Hey guys, it's Maya, and real quick before this episode starts, I just wanted to record a quick apology because at some point during this episode, my computer fan starts blowing like crazy and really messes up the audio because I record in my car and it gets super hot in my car, and so my computer started overheating, and I really didn't have the wherewithal to re-record this episode, so I just wanted to apologize for the moment that this audio becomes really shitty. If you had 2 months to live, what would you do? That's the premise for the novel We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach, and it basically follows 4 high school seniors as they deal with the impending doom of Ardor, which is this asteroid said to make impact with Earth 2 months from when the book starts. And it's a really good book and really apocalyptic, but it's not super out there. It's not zombies or there's no weird weird fantasy element to it. It's all real people, all real characters, are all real situations, but is still apocalyptic. And it's really interesting to read during quarantine and with coronavirus and stuff, because it's almost like the complete opposite of what's going on right now. What's going on right now and in the past, recent past, was the world was kind of shut down, which was really weird, and we were all learning to adjust with that. And in this, with 2 months to live, people are just going batshit crazy. And so it's really interesting to see, and also was really fun to live vicariously through that craziness when it's a time where we can't really do anything, you know? So I think everybody should read it. It was really good, really fun. So yeah, books, TV, music, and movies, all things that make a big impact on everyone. I'm constantly gushing about my latest read to anyone who will listen, so I figured I'd turn my rambling into something coherent that people will actually listen to, which means no tuning out halfway through. I'm Maya Ghosh, and this is my take. Okay, so as always, we are starting with a little bit on the writing. It took me 121 pages to realize that this book was written in third person, so that should tell you, well, it can tell you one of two things. I'm really not observant, or it can tell you that the third person writing is really good and you really feel like the character and understand their emotions without needing them to say I. So take what you will out of that. I'm going to take out of it that the third person writing was really good and really done really well and allows you to really see the characters. And the book really is just kind of your typical YA writing. I mean, it's not trashy at all by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not amazing, gonna be a classic kind of writing. It's that very typical book writing that you see in a lot of books. It's good, but it's not great. It just is very typical, but it was, good, and it made the book good to read, and I liked it. And I don't have a ton to say about the writing. There wasn't a standout thing besides the fact that it took me 121 pages to realize that it was written in third person. But that's really all I have to say on the writing. Like I said, pretty typical. So what I'm going to do is, because the book is organized by characters and follows 4 different characters' perspectives, I'm going to talk about the characters in kind of the order that we meet them. So starting with Peter, who's the first person we meet and look at the world through. My first impression on him was that he was just a spoiled rich kid. He thinks going to Stanford and playing basketball at Stanford will mean that he just gets to, join a fraternity and party with his teammates and his fraternity brothers every weekend and do nothing and not go to class, which is so wrong. Yes, athletes, at some schools and all that, it's, you take different classes, you get special treatment because you're an athlete, but, especially Stanford athletes, you're not partying all the time. I'm sorry, bro, you have a bad idea of what Stanford athletics is, and maybe this is just because it's, the typical view of Stanford that people have is, you get the whole life at Stanford, and I grow up in the Bay, so we all know about Stanford and know kind of what it's like-ish there. But that just, I was that's so wrong. You can't. It just wasn't. And he was also, sad that high school is over. And, yes, I'm sad that high school is over a little bit, but I'm also super excited for college. And, my theory is that really only the popular kids miss, like, high school and are, like, super sad that it's ending, and it's, like, so he gave me a weird vibe in the beginning with all of that, and I was like, you're just some spoiled rich kid, aren't you, and I'm not gonna like you. But, like, he grew on me, you know? He looks out for Miz and is a good big brother, and he volunteers, like, he makes his whole friend group volunteer at Friendly Forks, and I loved that he made, like, Stacy do it and volunteer there, even though she's totally the opposite of the type of person who would volunteer at Friendly Forks. And I love that he continued to volunteer at Friendly Forks, too, because I think it was a really good cause, and I loved that that restaurant was focused on doing that, and so it was really cool that that was not just, like, a one-off thing. He kept going back, he kept doing it. The characters from Friendly Forks actually did show up in other parts of the book, so I appreciated that. Him and Eliza. I like it. I like them together. I like their character dynamic. I like that they, you know, become a couple right after, you know, he protests to get her out of jail. Though, okay, that whole, like, protest scene and, you know, the party afterwards, like, I was very mad that he didn't just outright ask her, like, when did you start dating Andy? Because had he, you know, directly communicated with her and been like, hey, Andy told me that you guys were dating, and I just wanted to know when that happened, she would have been like, I'm not dating Andy, he totally lied to you. They would have kissed right then and there, and you could have avoided a lot of drama. But no, instead, he's like, oh, you know, I can't believe you're already with somebody else and stuff, and she thinks he knows about the guy she made out with in the prison bunk, which I'm pretty sure if she would have told him too, she would have been like, oh, I made out with the guy in the prison bunk and I'm really sorry, I was just really scared and alone. He would have been like, what guy in the prison bunk? I thought you were with Andy. And then, you know, direct communication, people. That is what you need to take away from this. Like, why can't characters in books, especially teens, directly communicate? Why do they have to dance around the subject, not come out and say what they're thinking, and then cause issues? Like, Jesus Christ, just say it. Just ask her when she started dating Andy. It's not that hard of a question. You're gonna confront her anyways. Yeah. So, I was mad about that, but I guess, like, they ended up together in the end, so it was fine, and, like, I don't know, I was happy that we did get some moments of them together and happy. But, you know, he also protects people to a fault, which is why he goes after Bobo alone, which was a bad idea from the start. Like, why don't you take Andy with you? I know you and Andy are not on a great page, but Andy knows how to deal with Bobo. Why do you not just ask Andy, like, hey, can you come with me to, like, deal with Bobo and get Misery? Because like, you're gonna get yourself killed if you go alone. And that's, you know, what fucking happens. He did not deserve to die the way he did. Oh my god. I wasn't even realizing what was happening when he was dying either. Because, like, he gets his shit beaten out of him by Bobo so he can protect Misery. Which, like, we love him for protecting Miz. But still, he's getting the shit beaten out of him, and then he's, like, laying in the car in Eliza's arms, and he's, like, didn't even feel her lips, and I was like, what? Why is he numb with pain? What the hell? And then blacks out, and then the next few chapters, Eliza's like, he's gone, and I'm like, he's gone? Where did he go? What? No, he died? Like, it was just the saddest thing. The way he dies in the car, and I was like, what the hell? Jesus, it was so, like, it's fitting with the style of the book, right? It's apocalyptic. You got crazy shit going on. Of course, people are gonna die, but not the people in the book. Like, he was growing on me. I liked him. So, yeah, I was very mad that he died. And, like, imagine the trauma Eliza's gonna have now that, like, her boyfriend died in her arms. Like, Jesus Christ. Speaking of Eliza, we're moving on to her now. She was an interesting character, because do I think she should have been having sex with every guy that showed her attention? No. But this was kind of the first time that I had read a book that had a character and we saw a perspective of, like, the school slut. Even though she's not a slut, because she has more, like, that's just, we don't use that word. No. girls are allowed to do whatever they want. It's their body, right? Like, would I be making the same choices as her? No. Do I respect the fact that she has the right to make those choices? Yes. So I liked that we got a perspective from that kind of character. Because usually either we get, like, I don't know, girls in books just don't do that. It always is like, sex is either a thing that they've had, and it's like they have kind of a past, but not really, or they're like a virgin. But it's never like, we never get this perspective. This character is always like a side character or a mean girl or something. And so I really appreciated that we like got that kind of perspective, and we saw that like she had, you know, kind of rules surrounding what she would do and what she wouldn't, and she had like thought it through, and it was actually a really informed decision that she was making, and she wasn't just fooling around for the hell of it. And so I hate that she gets called a slut at school, and I hate like that people pick on her and paint like stuff onto her locker. Like, I swear, every time there's a reference to, like, painting something on the locker, I'm like, what the hell? Like, who actually does that? Because I have never seen that. Have I seen lockers get decorated for birthdays? Yes. But I've never seen somebody go out of their way to paint, like, slut onto somebody's locker. Like, who does? I feel like that only happens in movies. If that's ever happened to you, please comment on my podcast and tell me, because I would be very interested to hear your story about that. Because I firmly believe that only happens in books. Like, all of these characters are flawed, but I specifically like Eliza's flaws, and I like that we get to see her flaws, and like, just, she's a new perspective and a new fresh thing, and so I appreciate it, and I love it. And I hate that she has such a hard life, because I really like her as a character, and I think she's really cool, and like, she's got a great personality, but like, her mom left her, and she has a really bad relationship with her mom, and her dad is dying of cancer, and that really sucks. Like, she's in high school, and she has to deal with all this shit. Like, it's hard. And then she gets thrown in jail for protesting. Like, what the hell? And then while she's in jail, her house burns down, and she doesn't even know if her dad survives, because, like, there's no phones and all this stuff. Like, she went through a lot in this book. Like, yes, Peter died, but, like, she had, like, piles and piles of things happening to her from, like, most of her life, and, like, it really sucked, and I really, like, I kept feeling sorry for everything that she went through, because I was like, oh my god, like, what more can this girl have to deal with? But I did love that she had photography as an outlet, and, like, that was her thing, and she was really into it, and she, you know, had, like, a blog that went viral, which I'm trying to go viral, like her blog. I was very jealous. It was like, oh, her blog went viral, and I was like, what the hell? I want my podcast to go viral. I'm jealous. But, like, I love that she had her photography, and I love that she stood up to the principal, and the principal was like, I need you to take down your blog because it makes the school look bad, and she's like, no, fuck you, I'm gonna keep my blog up, because freedom of speech, motherfuckers. Like, I was very happy that she did that, and I was happy that, like, she has her photography, and that is, like, her outlet, and she does have that kind of thing in her life. Speaking of when she goes to jail, like, I hated that she goes to jail, obviously, because it's, like, another thing she has to deal with, but when her and Kevin are, like, planning a way to get them out and, like, scheming and stuff, that was really funny, and it was, like, a nice bit of humor in this whole, like, dark, apocalyptic time, and I liked that it was, like, so funny, and she was trying to seduce the guard, and then she, like, tackled him. It was just, that whole dynamic was great, and I liked that it was just so out of the blue, but so great. And then I love the way that, like, her and Anita made up and were good friends at the end, because the whole time I was like, why do you guys have to hate on each other? Why does this have to be another instance of girls tearing each other down and not building each other up, and why can't you be friends? So I was very happy that they did work their shit out and they were able to be friends, because it felt right to have them be friends, you know? So now moving on to Anita, who, okay, I need to get this out of the way. I don't know what it is about me and hating book dads, but I fucking hate her dad. He's so, like, everything revolves around the Bible, and he's anti-climate change, and sees her as a fucking investment, which is so stupid. Like, children are not an investment. Maybe, you invest in people's futures by, like, putting them in school and getting them tutors and putting them in extracurricular activities. Like, you do those things to invest in your future, but kids are not an investment for your future. That is so stupid. Like, no, I hated the way he approached her as, like, a parent and was like, you're an investment, so you need to do what I say, and you only have conditional acceptance, so you need to make sure you keep your shit together. Like, I hated him. And, like, obviously I'm not black, so I don't know, I can't speak, or I shouldn't say obviously, that's rude, but I'm not black, so I can't speak to this whole, like, being racist against your own culture thing, like, because I don't know, maybe that's a thing, like, in the black community, maybe they probably have, like, I don't have a well-informed opinion on this. I'm just saying, as somebody who's mixed race, right, I can't, like, it is not in my place to hate on mixed race people just for being mixed race, like, because he sees, like, so in the book, she's like, oh, I think, you know, Peter would be somebody that my parents would want me to end up with because he's white, and they see white people as, like, not, like, they see white people as symbols of power and privilege, and black men would just be thugs and stuff, so they want me to end up with a white man. And I'm like, I hate that, because that's your culture. You should be proud of who you are, and, like, yes, every culture has, you know, wackadoos and people who don't represent their culture well, but that's something you just should accept, and you should love your culture for what it is and support your culture and want to teach your daughter about that culture and that heritage and those people. And so I hate that that was a thing, and it, like, I hated that he didn't let her do her music either, because she was an amazing singer and deserved to be able to have that talent, and so I was very happy that she did sing at the end. But, like, it just, as I said, I can't get in too deep about, like, that whole racist against your own race thing, because it's not entirely my place, but I just felt like I needed to point it out and how unfair that was and how stupid it was. Like, I hated it. I fucking hate her dad. So then I did love Anita when she finally ran away from her parents, because her parents are shitty, and I was very proud of her and very happy that she was like, no, I'm gonna take my life into my own hands, and I'm gonna pursue my dream, and I'm gonna plan a giant ass party at the end of the world just so you can sing for a crowd. Like, I was very happy for her, and I was very glad that her and Andy ended up together, and, like, it was great. I loved it. I loved her arc. I loved the things she did. It was amazing. Now, finally, the last of the 4 characters, I'm going to be looking at Andy, who, my first impression of him was, like, he's smarter than he lets on, and I really, like, I felt bad that he struggled so much with school, because I feel like he's that type of guy that, like, you can go to a JC for 2 years and then transfer to a 4-year, and I feel like if he did that, he would blossom and kick ass in college and get, like, a really great job and do something really amazing with his life. And so I hated that he was, like, constantly struggling and not doing school. I was like, dude, get your life together enough just to go to a JC. I really wanted him to do that and, like, see that there were other options for him, or vocational. So, like, he seemed smarter than he let on, so I really wanted him to pursue something in higher education or job training or something and, like, get his life on track. But, you know, it just, obviously that's not part of the book. His music thing was really cool and amazing, and I liked that he and, you know, Anita were able to collaborate on that and do the music at the end of the world party. It was just, I liked his music, and, like, my relationship with him went kind of in waves. Like, I liked him, and then every time he gives in to Bobo, I hate him, and then I hate when he says he dates Eliza, and then I hate that he doesn't, like, see that Anita likes him for so long, but I like that him and Anita get it together in the end, and I like that he helps get Misery out in the end, even though, like, you know, Peter barges in and stuff. I like that he shows up and helps get her out and helps keep the girls safe. So it was up and down with, like, what I thought about him. So, yeah. Speaking of Bobo, fuck Bobo. First of all, their stupid suicide pact. Like, Bobo's a psychopath and needs help, but, like, why? Why? I was very happy Andy didn't go through with it. I was very happy Andy called the cops on Bobo and stuff. And, like, every time Bobo says don't be a pussy, I wanted to scream, because he literally is, like, toxic masculinity personified, and he, like, he's just like, you need to be a man, and why are you not, like, down to do this? And it's just, he's so stupid, and I hate him so much, and I hate that he kidnaps Misery and then claims that she's pregnant, and that's why he's, like, sheltered her there. Like, fuck you. No, she's not. You're keeping her hostage, which is a fucking crime. I mean, crimes get committed all the time in this book because, you know, the apocalypse. But still, like, I hated him, and, like, I was very surprised that he doesn't pick on Jess, who is trans, and, like, in the book, like, that's a thing. It's mentioned that, like, Jess was a she, now she's a he. And I'm very surprised that Bobo doesn't pick on him, because I feel like that would be something that he's like, I don't vibe with you, like, you're, you know, I feel like he'd be really transphobic and homophobic, and, like, because he's just a general nasty person. So, I don't know. I hated him. I was very happy he died. His death was, like, the best part of the book, kind of, low-key. At the end, there was a lot of shit going down, so his death was amazing. Back to Andy. Like I was saying, I was happy that him and Anita got together in the end, and, like, he did kind of have a good arc, I guess. I mean, he was, like, it wasn't like I loved him the whole time like I loved Eliza. It wasn't like I hated him the whole time like I hated Bobo. He was fine. I had hopes for him, you know, he had potential, but as is the way this book ends, we don't get to know what fucking happens, which was not fair. Like, it literally ends and they're like, 3, 2, 1, and then we don't know what happens. We just left in silence, and, like, I want to know if they all die or not, and, like, I'm choosing to believe in my world that they don't all die because I don't want them to all die, but it's also really annoying that we don't get closure and we have to, like, make that for ourselves and decide what we want to decide about it. Like, what the hell? You know, I want to see, like, the reaction. Like, I'd like to see a sequel to this book where they all survive and we have to see the fallout of, like, how do you pick it up? How do you rebuild society after thinking everybody's gonna die? What is gonna happen with Andy and Anita? Like, is Anita gonna go back to her parents' house? How is Eliza gonna survive? Like, I want all those answers and I want to see all that, but we just get left on a freaking cliffhanger. It's terrible. It's terrible. I hate it. It's terrible. And not fair, and, you know, we deserve better as readers. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, the book was really good. Obviously, I have a lot of feelings about it, but it's really good, really interesting to see, really, you know, interesting concept to read, so I think everybody should go read it because it's great. So, yeah, I have been Maya Ghosh, and this has been my take on We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach. Thanks for listening.